In the year 2000, one company nearly self-destructed, twice. Its founders couldn't agree on a name. Its CEO got fired mid-vacation, and its biggest enemy wasn't a competitor. It was the government, the fraudsters, and sometimes itself. And yet, from that wreckage came the most powerful network of entrepreneurs Silicon Valley had ever seen. This is the real story of PayPal. By late 2000, things inside the company were spiraling. The original co-CEO structure, where both Elon Musk and Peter Thiel shared power, had become a battlefield. Musk wanted to scrap the existing tech stack entirely and rebuild everything from scratch. The engineering team thought that was insane. Deadlines were slipping, morale was collapsing. So, while Musk was overseas on his honeymoon, the senior leadership went to the board with a simple message. Someone has to go, and it needs to be the CEO. The board agreed. Musk landed back in the US, no longer in charge of the company he had merged into existence. Here's the thing, though. He didn't walk away. He stayed on as the largest shareholder and kept his board seat. Because even after being pushed out, he believed in what they were building. That says a lot about the company. And maybe even more about him. With Thiel now in charge, the chaos started to settle. Not because everything suddenly got easy, but because the team finally had a clear direction. Instead of trying to reinvent the entire financial system overnight, they focused on one thing they were already winning at: email-based payments for online sellers. eBay sellers, specifically. That single bet changed everything. Working at PayPal in those early years wasn't like working at a typical startup. There was no hierarchy of comfort, no safe roles. Even the interns were expected to contribute at a level that would make most senior engineers sweat. Job interviews weren't about your resume. They were closer to logic puzzles thrown at you by people who'd been awake for 36 hours and had opinions about everything. The internal culture ran on one principle: if your idea can't survive being challenged, it doesn't deserve to exist. Meetings were loud. Debates were fierce. Being wrong was fine. Being afraid to be challenged was not. And strangely, people loved it. There was a loyalty inside that company that you can't manufacture. When you build something under pressure, with people who hold nothing back, you form a bond that outlasts the job. PayPal had to fight 3 battles simultaneously, and losing any one of them would have ended the company. Battle 1. Fraud. The moment PayPal started offering sign-up bonuses to grow its user base, organized scammers took notice. Fake accounts flooded in. Referral systems were gamed. Money was moved through the platform in patterns that looked almost human. Almost. The engineering team had to build fraud detection from scratch, in real time, while the product was live. The system they created, called Igor, used behavioral signals and machine learning to flag suspicious activity: typing speed, login timestamps, email address patterns. It wasn't magic, it was math, moving faster than the fraudsters. Battle 2. eBay. Most of PayPal's early growth came from eBay sellers who preferred it over eBay's own payment tool. eBay didn't love that. They pushed their in-house product. They adjusted platform algorithms. They made life difficult. None of it worked. Sellers kept choosing PayPal. At one point, PayPal was processing nearly 70% of eBay transactions without being eBay's recommended option. Battle 3. Regulators. No one in government quite knew what PayPal was. Not a bank, not a money transmitter in the traditional sense, not a brokerage. But they were moving money. A lot of it. That made every regulator nervous. At its peak, PayPal was dealing with over 24 active legal challenges at once. Their approach: move faster than the lawsuits, license themselves state by state, hire compliance teams before they were told to, spend what it took to become impossible to shut down. In February 2002, PayPal went public. It wasn't the biggest IPO in Silicon Valley history, but it was proof of survival. They had launched during the dot-com boom, nearly collapsed during the bust, fended off fraud rings, battled regulators, and outmaneuvered a billion-dollar competitor on its own platform. And they were still standing. A few months later, eBay came back. This time, not as a rival, as a buyer. The offer: $1.5 billion in stock. PayPal said yes. When the deal closed in October 2002, the payout was staggering. Peter Thiel walked away with around $55 million. Elon Musk cleared over $160 million. Max Levchin made enough to fund whatever he wanted next, several times over. But none of them stuck around to manage spreadsheets inside eBay's corporate structure. They had bigger plans. When the team scattered, they didn't disappear. They multiplied. Elon Musk put his PayPal proceeds into a rocket company most people laughed at, and an electric car startup that nearly everyone said would fail. Today, SpaceX and Tesla are rewriting entire industries. Peter Thiel started Palantir, a data analytics firm so effective it drew attention from intelligence agencies worldwide. He also wrote a check for $500,000 into a small social network called Facebook. That investment eventually became billions. Reid Hoffman built LinkedIn and quietly became one of the most respected investors in technology. Max Levchin launched Affirm, which introduced a generation of consumers to a new way of managing purchases. And through their investments, networks, and involvement, companies like YouTube, Airbnb, Instagram, and Yelp all had threads connecting back to the PayPal alumni network. The press started calling them the PayPal Mafia. For once, a media nickname actually fit. Here's what's easy to forget about PayPal's story. It wasn't born from a master plan. It wasn't the product of perfect execution or ideal conditions. It was built by people who disagreed constantly, got fired, nearly ran out of money, and still somehow turned the whole mess into something that outlasted all of it. The company they built wasn't just a payment tool. It became a forcing function, a pressure cooker that produced some of the most consequential builders in modern tech. The product moved money. The real output was the people. Want to go deeper on each member of that team and what they built after PayPal? Subscribe and hit the bell. The next chapter is even wilder.